Everybody's got a price, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a pod, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back for another episode of Everybody's Got a Pod. And of course, I could never do it without the man himself, WWE Hall of Famer, the legendary $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Ted, how's it going, brother?
Marcus, it's going good. It's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. Yeah, you know what? My biological father, his name was Ted Wills. And he was legitimately, he sang, oh my gosh, he sang out in Hollywood. He was a part of a group one time. I'm trying to think what their name was. But anyway, he had this beautiful, deep bass voice. And oh God, he could sing. You know, I've got a deep voice like his. I couldn't carry a tune, brother, if it had handles on it.
I don't know, man. That was pretty good.
My wife, I get the elbow in church, and then I remind her. I said, "Hey, it says make a joyful noise."
Any kind of noise. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a good noise.
All right, let's do it, buddy.
Oh man, too funny. Well, look, before we get into it, it is beginning to look a lot like Christmas. I got like 2.5 or 3 inches of snow up here yesterday in Pittsburgh, so I was shoveling my driveway, miserable. But hey, the holiday season's kicking off, man, and you just finished up a Thanksgiving with your family. Wanted to ask you, how was your Thanksgiving?
Hey, Thanksgiving was great. Yeah, we went down to Crystal Springs, which is about 40 miles south of Jackson, and that's where my wife Melanie's parents lived. They lived out in the country about 4 or 5 miles, but it was near this little town called Crystal Springs. Anyway, and their family has a barbecue place, Louise's Barbecue, and this is the truth. I stopped there once and got some barbecue, because I was in a hurry, and I went to the show. And at the time, I was wrestling, and Ernie Ladd, remember the big cat, big Ernie Ladd.
Oh yeah.
Was booking for Bill Watts. He was his booker, and he was the guy who was at the shows every night. So I gave him some of that barbecue. He loves his barbecue. So he told me, he said, Ted DiBiase, he says, if you ever come to another event and you pass through there again and you don't bring me any barbecue, I'm going to fire you. Of course, he was teasing, but yeah, he loved that barbecue.
Now, does that mean that you had some barbecue for Thanksgiving, or those days?
Well, actually, we had some, but we had turkey, too. I mean, it's kind of like when it's a family business, it's like, okay, I get so much barbecued pork and
ready for something new. Yeah.
Okay, give me the turkey. Come on, give me the turkey. I'll be honest with you, Marcus. I'm not crazy about turkey.
No,
I mean I'll eat it, but if there's turkey sitting there and there's ham sitting there, I'm all about that ham, not the turkey.
Wow. See, I love turkey. I'll eat it year round. Honestly, I would do Thanksgiving dinner like 3 times a year if it was socially my favorite thing.
Hey, all the fixings on the side, man. Ooh, yeah, I can go for all of that.
Oh yeah. Now I have to ask Ted, after dinner, what pie is the $1 Million Man reaching for?
The pecan pie.
Pecan pie. Ah, so good, dude.
My wife, she makes it. She don't buy it. She makes it. Yeah.
I'm coming down next year. I want to try her pecan pie. Well, look, last week, we missed the episode because you and I were both celebrating Thanksgiving and I was wrestling. So we were going to talk about Survivor Series 1995, and we are doing that this week. It's the first week of December. We are still talking about Survivor Series and a pretty big event that happened there 30 years ago in the WWF. We're going to get into it. But before we do, I know I keep giving people teasers. I've got to talk about Bret Hart and some recent controversial comments that I would love to hear your thoughts on.
Okay.
Bret did an interview recently where he stated that he believes that Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon had a sexual relationship, which led to Shawn getting the big push in the WWF. He also stated that he believes that Vince McMahon and the Ultimate Warrior had a sexual relationship. Now, Ted, Bret has been notorious with some of his shoot interview comments over the years, and he continues that streak here at the end of 2025. Ted, what do you make of these comments from Bret Hart?
Well, I hope they're all in his imagination, but nothing I ever saw, nothing would lead me to believe that, plus the fact that Shawn Michaels, right now, and of course, I mean, I guess people could be one way and then change, but I mean, like myself, he's a very strong Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be real interesting to hear his take on it.
I'd be interested to hear what Shawn has to say about it too. I have a feeling he's going to no-sell the whole thing, and
Yeah.
I think on its face, a lot of fans look at that and they say, "Well, this is ridiculous. It's just an outrageous claim, and there's really nothing to be said about this notion." However, I will point out that in light of what we've learned about Vince McMahon and maybe some of his sexual proclivities over the years, it doesn't seem like it, and not to mention all the scandals that were happening back in the day, the
Yeah.
Rainbow scandal and all these heinous things that were happening allegedly behind the scenes in the WWF. It doesn't seem like it's outside the scope of possibility necessarily. And when it comes to Warrior, there was always a rumor going around that Warrior would agree to shower in front of some WWE officials in exchange for added pay. That was a rumor that was going around back in the day. Also, Scott Hall
I was there and I never heard that rumor.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say I was there and nobody made me that offer.
Yeah.
But yeah, also Scott Hall in an interview said that he once asked Warrior about this, and Warrior kind of confirmed the rumors. So I don't know. It's all hearsay.
Scott Hall said what?
He said that he once asked Warrior about, being involved in sexual activities in exchange for like a push or pay, and Warrior more or less confirmed it to Scott. Now, of course, this is telephone, telegraph, telewrestler. It's all hearsay. I just wanted to ask you if you had ever heard about any of this, but it sounds like no.
No. Wow.
Yeah. I don't know.
That is true. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, but have you ever heard anywhere else that Vince McMahon might be, bisexual?
Yes. Yeah. Vince McMahon apparently stated in his on his documentary or in some autobiography or something not all that long ago that he had had some sexual relationships with men over the years. So it's you never heard about any of this?
No.
Yeah. He
Now, how could I be in the wrestling business and had the position that I had in the business and never hear this is crazy.
Well, I'll tell you how, Ted. It's because you were a fucking lunch pail guy. You were just showing up to work, doing your job, and leaving. You weren't getting involved in any of that behind the scenes stuff, right?
Yeah, well, there you got that right.
A strong statement from Bret. We don't have to dwell on it. We'll get into our subject, and it's a great one this week. Of course, we're talking about Survivor Series 1995, and Bret is heavily involved here in this pay-per-view, so we'll get there. Ted, the really big news from this time is that Shawn Michaels is going to get the absolute shit beaten out of him outside of a bar in Syracuse, New York by several Marines. His injuries would be bad enough that he would have to be hospitalized and would receive stitches because his eyelid would be nearly torn off as a result of the fight. Davey Boy Smith and 123 Kid were both there and tried to help, according to the report, but the damage was done to Shawn. Ted, this report comes several days after Shawn had a different incident backstage with the Blue Brothers. They're better known by most fans as Ron and Don Harris, a couple big twins in wrestling. Apparently, after a charity show in MSG, Ron and Don trapped Michaels in the locker room, blocked the door with a chair, grabbed him by the throat, and held him up against the wall while threatening him. So, Ted, I lay out all of that to ask you. Shawn was beginning to develop a reputation as a shit disturber during this time. He clearly said or did something to piss off some Marines in a bar in Syracuse. And he had heat with a lot of the boys, like Ron and Don Harris, evidently. Um, how much did you hear or see when it came to Shawn's backstage antics or behaviors?
Well, I saw a little of it. Him and Marty Jannetty. Yeah, Marty Jannetty's another guy that's a goofball. Here's the difference. I think Marty's a friend of mine, but Marty's lifestyle hasn't changed at all.
No.
Not that I've seen, and I wish him. I genuinely wish him well. But
Shawn turned it around.
Shawn figured it out. Shawn figured it out. Got saved. Became a very strong Christian and is a strong Christian to this day.
I know that back in the day, if you were working for Watts and you got your ass beat at a bar, you'd lose your job. But instead of any kind of punishment, Vince is actually going to turn this into a storyline for Shawn to gain some sympathy for him. The WWF is going to cover the story and say that Shawn was jumped by a group of Marines completely unprovoked. Shawn is going to come out for his match with Dean Douglas at the In Your House 4 pay-per-view in October. But instead of having a scheduled match, he's going to forfeit the Intercontinental title to Dean Douglas. Dean will then be defeated for the title by a mystery opponent who turns out to be Razor Ramon. So, Ted, what's your opinion on this? Do you feel like this is a bad look for a top babyface? When they're saying, like, yes, he got beat up by a group of guys outside of a bar, but it wasn't his fault. What do you make of Vince turning this into an on-screen story?
Well, I mean, you got to do something because everybody's going to, Shawn was obviously a wrestler and he wasn't like the undercard people. He was, one of the top guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get a story where, wrestler gets beat up in a bar.
And you can't hide the bruises and shit on his face and his
Yeah.
eyes.
So I think it was Vince's way of recovering it for him.
What do you think? Do you think if it was Bill Watts and his top baby face in the company got beat up by a group of guys at the bar, do you think that Bill would fire his top baby face?
Probably. Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. That's what Bill Watts did say.
Mm-hmm.
He says, if as long as you're working for me, and you're going out there and representing, Mid-South Wrestling, whatever, he says, you better pick where you go to hang out, whatever, because if you go out and get beat up in some bar fight and you lose, you're fired.
And I get that point. I totally do, especially back in the days of kayfabe. It's just, I find it really hard to believe. So, Ted, you were a top guy for Bill Watts for a long time, and he really respected you and loved your work. I mean, God forbid the worst happens. You go out with some of your buddies, unprovoked, some guys come up to you, they get the better of you, beat your ass in the parking lot or whatever. I just find it hard to believe that.
Well, I guess the circumstances are going to make the difference. It's kind of like if the story is, wrestler gets jumped in the parking lot by 5 guys and beat up, but if you get in a barroom fight with just one guy,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe 2, I don't know, and you get your ass kicked, then hit the door.
And I get it. It's
it's and I think that's also Bill's way of keeping his guys from getting into a lot of shit.
It's a smart move overall. Maybe kind of discourages guys from hitting the bar.
I mean, actually, I can remember when like in Shreveport, after the show, there was this one bar that everybody went to. And it was out on what they call the Strip. And it's like all the baby faces would be over on this side of the bar, and all the heels would be on the other side of the building. And, and nothing, nothing really ever happened. But
that'd be tough too if you were like your best friend in wrestling is over there on the other side of the bar because he's a baby face. It'd be like, oh man, I want to hang out with my buddy, but
yeah.
you can't. So I mentioned that Shawn is going to drop the Intercontinental title at a pay-per-view in your house and just give it to Dean Douglas. Ted, do you feel like forfeiting the Intercontinental title decreases the value of the belt in your mind, or is it okay to do something like that under rare circumstances every once in a while?
It could. Just depends on how, it just depends on how you look at it. I would say, but I think as far as the people were concerned, Shawn wasn't just giving the belt away. He was giving it up because he wasn't healthy enough to defend it.
Mm-hmm.
And all the people knew that.
But that does make a difference. Circumstances.
Oh, sure. It's like if you were scheduled to do something like that, and have this match, and then you get hurt, beat up, whatever, you're not capable of doing that. Then you can't just. It's like you've got a belt, and we can't just wait till you get well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like it might take you 3 months to get well. Well, we can't just go without the belt for 3 months.
All right, guys, it is time to take a quick break to talk about a subject that I know is near and dear in the hearts of all men everywhere. Of course, I'm talking about your penis. So we all know that guys enter the room dick first, and that's because our penis is like one of our most important appendages, right? And it's really important that little guy acts up when he's supposed to. I mean, we've all been there as guys, right? You're in the bedroom, your partner's ready, you're ready, but you look down there between your legs and your little guy's just down there staring at the carpet. That doesn't work for me, brother. That's why I turned to Blue Chew. Blue Chew isn't just a tablet, it's a cheat code for your crotch. Stronger, harder, longer lasting, like somebody gave your little partner down there an energy drink and he's just ready to go. I mean, don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself, pal. Blue Chew is going to get that thing so hard you could hammer a nail with it. You could hang a paint can off of it. You couldn't turn the head of it with a pipe wrench. There are a lot of ways to describe Blue Chew's wonderful effects, but more than anything, it's about giving you confidence. Confidence is key, and if you're not feeling it, you know that your partner is not going to be feeling it either, and then nobody has a good time. Take advantage of Blue Chew. It might just be giving you the best sex of your entire life, and you've been missing out on it up until this moment. Not anymore. We're hooking you up. And Blue Chew is about more than just performance, too. This is also about legacy. You know that your partner is in a group chat talking about how things went or didn't go in the bedroom. Give them something to talk about. Nothing makes you more of a legend than a little Blue Chew. Discover your options right now at BlueChew.com. We've got a special deal for our listeners. As always, get your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use promo code EGAP at checkout and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head to BlueChew.com for details and safety info. And we want to thank Blue Chew for sponsoring Everybody's Got a Pod. Now, I do also want to bring up that I mentioned Dean Douglas here, and he was known formerly as Shane Douglas. He had a run in the WWF from 1990 to 1991, and he's getting the Intercontinental Championship at this show. Ted, did you remember Shane from his first run in the WWF back in 1990?
Yeah.
It was a little bit forgettable as a run.
Yeah, and Shane, in my opinion, never got that,
never got as big as he could have.
Never really had a big run.
No, like in ECW, he did great.
Yeah.
But aside from that, like, I don't know. You take a look at Shane Douglas. He handsome dude, pretty good ring skills,
Yeah.
good on the mic. And it's like I see what's going on with him, and I'm like, why not? Why didn't he get a better run here in the Fed? Well, so apparently when he returned here in 1995, he had a lot of heat backstage with Razor and Diesel and Shawn Michaels and the 1-2-3 Kid. And Scott Hall was not shy about saying that Douglas didn't have it in the ring and complained about being hurt all the time, which Hall said, everybody's hurt, dude. Like, there's a difference between being hurt and being injured, and we're all trying to make a living here. So, Ted, I lay all that out to ask you now. You know, I've heard wrestlers say before that phrase, there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. What do you have to say about that mindset of just sucking it up and dealing with the bumps and bruises and getting to work?
Oh, I absolutely totally agree with it. I mean, it's like, if this is your job, this is what, it's like if you break your leg, you can't wrestle. It's impossible. You can't get in the ring. If you break your arm, you got a cast on, you can't wrestle. But, just because, something minor happens to you that you put a Band-Aid on it or you get a few stitches. Oh, I can't go out there tonight. I got all these stitches in my head. No, you just grin and bear it and, go do your job.
Especially in those days, man, it's the you don't work, you don't get paid days. So you could be affecting your opponent whenever you go out there.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
scrapped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it makes sense. Unless you literally cannot get into the ring, just go work, dude.
Yeah. Go. You find a way to do it.
Yeah.
And
And there are ways.
And again, the things like that is happy. It's kind of like, there's been guys, like me, I can remember, going in a toilet in the dressing room and throwing up in the toilet, and then going out in the ring and having a match and coming right back to the toilet and throwing up again.
Now that is,
But in that case, the guy you're working with helps you. He makes the match easier for you. So
the nice thing if you've got like an illness like that, is that like if you're a heel, you can just powder, crawl into the ring and throw up or whatever and come back up.
yeah.
there's ways around it. But no, you're right. Like even if it's an injury, I just worked with a guy who was dealing with a back injury. And so before the match, he and I were talking about it. And I was like, well, look, I won't bump you. I'll get my heat without bumping you. And so that's how we worked out the match, and everything went fine. And the crowd was none the wiser,
Yeah.
So again, Shane has got a really good look. He was trained by Dominic DeNucci, went on to have great success in ECW. I don't know. It's like, it feels like some backstage politics a little bit to me that he didn't get a fair shake here in the WWF. I can see Scott Hall's point, like if he's complaining about having to get into the ring. I don't know. When you look at a talent like Shane Douglas, Ted, do you feel like there was more to him? Could he have done more in the WWF?
I don't really think so. I guess it's I just call it the it factor. They either have it or they don't have it. And I don't think Shane really had, it.
He seemed like he found himself a little bit more in ECW. I mean, maybe 5 years, 10 years later, things would have been different in the WWF. But I agree with you. During this time, the gimmick wasn't there. I don't know that he was really there or ready for it. It's just, one of those things. Timing is everything, right?
Yeah. So, but nice guy. Yeah, nothing against him. And like I said, pretty fair hand. But as where I knew him, he didn't impress me as being main event material.
That's fair enough. And I'm sure that a lot of guys would agree with that sentiment. Maybe even Shane would agree with that sentiment.
But at that time, and he grew and then he grew into it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's like people say, well, what about you, Ted? I said, I grew up in wrestling. Wrestling was a part of my entire life.
Right.
And even like when I first broke in, I mean, a lot of guys said, hang on, kid, you're going places, because they saw it. They saw that I had it.
And before you ever took a bump,
Yeah.
You had knowledge of wrestling, and it's
Yeah.
like you came out
Yeah.
with a big upper hand. Yeah. Um, well, so as for what was going on with you heading into Survivor Series 95, you're going to add a surprise new member to your $1 Million Corporation. Let's check it out. It's our only clip this week.
Listen to these morons. Make them shut up. Razor Ramon in big time trouble. As he has been almost all the way through this matchup. Look at unbelievable. Razor. What is he
Yes,
doing?
strong Scott Hall.
Look at
That's
that.
incredible.
Razor Ramon in control. Right on his head. The Kid beginning to count. No movement from Sid. The bad guy trying to get up. This is the opportunity for Razor Ramon. Let's take another look at it now. I cannot believe it. Look how far Sid falls. Right on the back of his head. Unbelievable. Devastating. He's down. Almost as devastating as a Razor's edge itself. Look at the look on his face. There, of Razor Ramon. The eyes going back into his head. And unfortunately for the bad guy, Psycho Sid has recovered. Psycho Sid now in the corner. Psycho Sid charging it out. Big boot to the midsection. Come on, Psycho Sid. Even you got to be impressed with Sid. How did he withstand that blow? I'm impressed with Sid. Be sneakily impressed with Razor. Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. Yeah. Look on his face. And Razor. Oh! Psycho Sid down. Cover. And it's over. It's a... No, it's not quite. That was a quicker count by the Kid. Then you got to admit. No, I thought it was the same count. If anything, even slower, but the bad guy with momentum now. Razor setting up Sid. Reversal off the rope in. Here it comes. No. In the middle of the ring. Wait a minute. The Razor's edge. He can't get him up. He got him. Nothing can stop the bad guy. Hey, wait a minute. Sid with a boot to the midsection. Wait a minute. Did you see what the Kid did? The power bomb and gas. Hold it. Hey, wait. This is ridiculous.
Okay, so the 1, 2, 3 Kid turns on Razor Ramon, joins the $1 Million Corporation. Ted, the first thing that stuck out to me about that video is how damn strong Scott Hall is. He picked up Sid for an electric chair drop and the Razor's Edge. Amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Man, what a feat of strength, dude. Sid was probably, 325?
Yeah. Well, and of course, when you do those things, well, I guess, wherever you can, you help the guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when you slam somebody, if they don't put their hand on your thigh, the guy that's going up,
yep,
and help a little bit. I mean, it's kind of like that would be like me trying to deadlift somebody like this. No, you got to help.
Oh yeah, even with a jump, you still have to post properly to help the guy out. Yeah. The one thing that really stuck out for me here, aside from Scott Hall being incredibly strong, is the size disparity here, which is very interesting. Especially during these days when everybody seems to be at least 6'5" in the WWF. Do you think it's inherently difficult for a guy the size of the 1, 2, 3 Kid to be a heel now that he's joining your team?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's like it's not his size; it's what he does with it. Yeah, I mean, he can be a heel. He's just got to be a little sneaky heel. He can't be, okay, he's a heel, but Sean Waltman's not going to go out in the ring and throw somebody the size of Razor Ramon into the ropes and power slamming.
I think that makes sense. And it also makes sense that following this, they would pair him with a talent like Sid in your corporation. They end up being a tag team where Sid can get heat on the guys and then they have to sell for Shawn afterwards, right?
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. Well, let's get to Survivor Series. It takes place in Landover, Maryland, in front of 14,500 fans, and you're involved in 2 matches. The first is a Survivor Series match where you're going to be in 1, 2, 3 Kid's corner as he teams with the Body Donnas and Rad Radford to take on Marty Jannetty, Hakushi, Bob Holly, and Barry Horowitz. Sid is going to interfere to help Kid get the victory for his team. The next one is a wild card match, which will have heels and baby faces teaming together. In this instance, you're with Shawn Michaels, who's the top baby face in the company, Ahmed Johnson, the British Bulldog, and you're in Sid's corner for this. The other team is Owen Hart, Razor Ramon, and Dean Douglas. and your side is going to get the win. So, I'm not sure if I like the idea of heels and baby faces being forced to cooperate here. It kind of is adding a gimmick to a match that's a gimmick in and of itself. I don't know. What do you think of the idea of pairing heels with baby faces? Does it divide the audience?
Well, I mean, the concept's not that. I mean, it's kind of like number one, the fans are going to go, "This is going to be interesting." So, are the heels and the baby faces on one team? Are they going to cooperate with each other to try to win?
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
okay. So
I
the
think, and I think that's one way to look at it. So,
Okay, that's an interesting perspective. I can take that because in my head, I'm like, this is you. What team does the audience want to root for if there's heels and baby faces on both? But really, they're just rooting for the baby faces overall, right?
I would think, yeah.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. The really big news at Survivor Series is that Diesel will drop the WWF Championship to Bret Hart, and Vince had decided the year prior that Diesel was his guy, and had Bret drop the belt to Bob Backlund as a placeholder to get the belt onto Big Daddy Cool. Now, after a 358-day reign, Vince decides to put it back on Bret and turn Diesel back into a killer heel. So Ted, Jake has gone on record as saying that Bret Hart was a disappointment as WWF champion and couldn't help draw fans as the face of the company. I don't know if that's really fair. It seems like in the wake of the Hulk Hogan thing, it would take a pretty special human being to kind of pick the company back up to its former glory. I don't know though. What do you think? Did you feel like Bret didn't do enough as a WWF champion?
Well, I mean, I kind of, uh, no doubt that Bret Hart is a great worker, and then and Bret, he can interview, but I don't know, it's just something. It's kind of like when Hulk Hogan would get up and interview, man, you tuned in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the way his appearance and and all of that.
His aura, his presentation, right?
Yeah, and I just don't know that Bret had that kind of presentation. You understand what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you mean. And I think that a lot of fans of Bret Hart might hear that and be like, oh, come on, Bret was great. Bret was great. But you have to admit that to Ted's point, when you hear an interview between the two of them, one of them kind of, if you're looking down and you hear Hulk Hogan start to cut a promo, you're going to look up. With Bret Hart, nothing against his interview ability, but it doesn't have the same effect, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. This doesn't have the same impact, I guess. And of course, and again, I think Bret Hart is one. It's like, I don't know if Bret would be in my top 10, but I mean, he might be there because he is a great worker. But you've got to have the charisma to carry that.
Yes. And I don't know if you ever saw Bret Hart's heel work, which would have been during your time in WCW a few years later. When Bret was a heel, that was a different Bret Hart on interviews. That was look up from what you're doing and listen to what he has to say, Bret Hart.
Yeah.
I think you can make the argument that Bret Hart as a heel WWF champion was head and shoulders better than Bret Hart as a babyface champion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this was a great episode. Best there was and ever will be. If we're gonna, it was
best there ever will be.
It was fun getting to talk about.
Like blowing your own home.
That's right. That's
Don't
right.
blow your own home.
Nobody else toots my horn, Ted. I got to do it. But that'll wrap us up for the year talking about 1995 in the WWF.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll be picking it up. We'll be picking it up early 2026, talking about 1996 in the WWF, which of course there's a lot of crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ted, just want to thank you for your time today. Always interesting to get your perspective on things, man.
Well, and likewise, my friend. And just I can't believe you can dig all this stuff up, man. You should be You should be a pro wrestling historian.
I'm becoming one just from doing all this stuff. It's like I'm remembering all the facts and figures now.
Oh yeah, and for all the guys that you do the interviews with, they
man.
I mean, Jake. Who else?
Bushwhacker Luke, Hacksaw, who I'm about to talk to here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's I'm very blessed and fortunate. I love doing it, and I love having the opportunity to just sit down and kind of hear your thoughts on things, man. It's like, there's not a lot of people in the world, that are experts at something, and I think that you're an expert professional wrestler, and I appreciate getting your expert opinion once a week here on the show.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know if I'm. It's like I'm the best there was, the best there is, and the best there ever will be.
That's Ted's new moniker. Well, we're here right now on the show. Sorry, Bret.
I would tell Bret, hey, I have all the respect in the world for Bret. I do.
Me too, man. What a performer he was.
Yeah, he was.
And we'll be here next week on the show giving a little performance of our own. I don't know what the topic is yet. It might be time for another Ask Ted Anything. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. But either way, we'll have some fun here next week, brother.
Hey, like I always say, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
We'll catch you guys next time right here on Everybody's Got a Puck.
$1 Million dream, tell them all good night. Everybody's